You find yourself lost in Irvingland. The ship is cruising through space while on board grand high drama is unfolding.
Dr. Smith, do please try and have some of this broth. I made it especially for you.
Thank you, no, madam. I have no appetite for food.
Well, he really must be sick.
He's convinced he's dying, and if he's really not interested in eating, he may be right. As Don once said, Smith would eat on the way to the gallows.
Dear children, try not to miss me too much. Just a few tears every day to remember me by. Penny, dear, surely you're not crying already?
Not exactly. It's just what you said sounds awfully icky.
They're taking him totally seriously, as you can tell.
All hands hear this. My astral calculations indicate that we have a lock on the star system of the Alpha Centauri.
Alpha Centauri?
Oh!
It can't be.
Did you hear that, Dr. Smith? Hey, you sat up!
Pure reflex. I was not aware of it.
Well, now that your reflexes are working again, you can get clear up.
To think that they would all go and leave me here alone to die, just for a glimpse at some wretched star.
But it's Alpha Centauri, our destination. I've got to see it too.
Alpha Centauri, indeed. Ah, well, I suppose it's better than nothing.
Oh, the pain, the pain.
Why couldn't it be Earth?
Because Earth was never the destination, as you already know. Your presence, not to mention your desires, were never part of the deal. However, now that you're obviously not sick anymore, there's work to be done. Get to it. If you're starting to get the idea that I have had it with the Zachary Smith character, you're right. I had already reached that point when I was 13 as well. Nobody except the people at the top liked the direction the show had gone. Bill Mumy didn't like the fact that it became the Dr. Smith show with his sidekicks Will and the Robot, but considering the fact that he was all of 13 when the show aired, he didn't have much clout. And as I mentioned before, Jonathan Harris had a free hand to rewrite things on the fly and otherwise monkey with the show as much as he bloody well pleased. Nobody ever figured out why. But there's a general consensus among participants and fans alike that the show suffered for it.
And if our space research is reliable, as we believe it to be, America's first family in space will discover, when they are within direct observational range of the system, that at least 2 of the planets which attend Alpha Centauri are capable of supporting terrestrial life.
And according to those signals, they're already supporting some kind of life.
Yes, but not necessarily terrestrial.
John says, let's find out, and puts out a call on the radio.
Jupiter 2, this is Interstellar Relay Station 9, transmitting from Planet Delta, in the binary star system of Alpha and Proxima Centauri. Bartholomew speaking. Do you read me?
We read you loud and clear, Planet Delta. Question: am I correct in assuming that the planet below contains terrestrial life forms? Over.
There's been terrestrial life on all habitable planets within the system for 3 years.
So these guys arrived there the same time the Jupiter 2 was blasting off. In the material surrounding the original launch, it was implied that the Robinsons would be the first humans to begin colonizing one of those planets. But in the second and third seasons, we're learning that humans have been out here wandering around other galaxies billions of light years apart, not just solar systems in our own galaxy, for at least 10 years, probably more. We have refueling stations out there for who knows who, a weather station of all things. By the time we've reached this point, the only thing distinctive or pioneering about the Robinsons is they're an entire family. Well, that and they got lost. But also, wasn't this trip supposed to take 5 years? It's barely been 3 and they're already there, even though they took the scenic route all through a bunch of other galaxies, and even though there was no need since Alpha Centauri is already in our galaxy. The upshot of all that is this. We threw story continuity in File 13 over a year ago. Let's just see where this is going to take us.
They're Americans.
We read that. What did you expect? Centipedes, lizards, 6-legged pygmies with bald heads and antenna ears?
Don't jerk us around, dude. Everybody knows they have 8 legs. Obviously, he hasn't had some of the visitors that the Robinsons have. Bartholomew says, I have your ship under control and we're bringing you in for a soft landing.
So, you were the first family in space, and the good old Jupiter, too. That's quite a survival story. Earth will go wild when they hear it. You're Professor Robinson, right?
That's right.
I recognize you all from your photographs.
He's the senior member here, even though he's barely older than Will, and those stripes on his sleeve are bigger than his sleeve. John would like to know where the grown-ups are.
I guess you should know that Planet Delta is an advanced station for new arrivals. Orientation, processing, all that jazz. Our main colony's on Planet Gamma. We run a shuttle over there twice a week.
Who's in command of this advanced station? I might know him.
We have no chain of command here, Professor Robinson. I just happen to monitor your approach, so you were my baby, I guess.
A military processing station with no chain of command. But it'll get weirder.
The boys will conduct you to your quarters.
All right.
Penny and Will, you'll come with me. We have separate quarters for the younger arrivals.
Is that necessary?
It's just one of those alpha regulations we've been trying to change for a year.
I'd rather they stay with us.
Don't tell me they still need tucking in at night. They'll be quite safe, you know.
Dad, don't embarrass me. I'll be all right, and so will Penny.
He didn't embarrass you, Will. Bartholomew did with the snide comments. Still, they work. Will and Penny will go with him to the kids section. I guess Judy got too old while they were wandering around space. According to the original pilot, she was 19 when they blasted off, so she'll be close to about 22 now, and Don hasn't even married her. She's practically an old maid.
We don't keep new arrivals here long. A couple nights of adjustment, and you'll be on your way to a good life.
Gosh, you sure make it sound exciting.
Gosh, that's an in word, real in the Squaresville's dictionary.
Squaresville. Well, isn't that just groovy, you hep cats? We saw that register on Will's face, but Penny didn't catch it.
You cats tired or hungry?
Not really.
Then we can get started on your processing and adjustment right away. Those olders, all they ever think about is eating and sleeping.
Not all the time.
You're right. In their spare time, they're lecturing the youngers. That's their hang-up. Step this way.
Will is starting to have doubts about this place. I'm going to give a minor spoiler here because this will get frustrating. Since Will is the boy, he's figuring all the stuff out, while Penny is just a girl, so she meekly goes along with everything Will says. It's out of character for both of them because on those rare occasions when they do get to do something together, they tend to be sounding boards for each other, come up with ideas together, and execute them together. Not today. Somebody related to this show was obsessed with the emerging hippie culture and the psychedelic aura that surrounded it and tried multiple times to depict it. They failed every time. I knew some hippies. It wasn't about go-go dancing or free love or even drugs. It was about the war. Those other things were devices for removing or separating yourself from the bellicose culture around you and creating a little peaceful space for yourself and others who were like-minded. It was about trying to be countercultural enough to get someone to listen to your protests against what you considered an unjust, not to say illegal, war. It was your way of saying, this is wrong and I will not participate in all the wanton destruction of human life. I'm not sure why, but this show never got that. Thus, we get caricatures like this instead of actual social commentary based on what the hippies really stood for. A voice announces that there's a room ready for each of them to begin their orientation.
All right, Will. Press the Operation Start switch.
The machine will start asking each of them a bunch of questions, giving them almost no time to answer, and they're supposed to try to concentrate with that way too loud music pounding in their heads.
It's too fast. I can't remember. I need more time.
That's what the elders always say. Give me more time. You've been around them too long. Your loyalty's very misguided.
You're rather slow, aren't you? Or are we too fast for you?
It's Just I'm not used to learning anything this way, that's all.
You'll get used to it very soon, once you're free of former associations.
I don't understand.
And now we know what the goal of this orientation is.
Been blabbering into that machine for hours now, and every hour on the hour you've saved our lives.
Spare me the acidulous asides, Major. My individual report tells the truth as I see it.
That may be so, but considering that everybody else's reports are going to be very, very different, I have a feeling yours is going to end up a curiosity in a circus somewhere.
Sure.
Well, as I see it, ever since we've arrived here, they fed us by automatic buffet, put us to sleep by Brahms' lullaby, also automatic. We haven't seen sunlight, no moonlight for that fact. And our only contact's been with a teenager named Bartholomew.
And as he'll learn, they can't get any answers out of anyone because there's nobody but an automated voice answering the phone.
Yes, but he seemed very mature. You're worried about Will and Penny, aren't you?
Well, I'm puzzled. I mean, why the separation? And what's with these tape machines? Why not a regular debriefing, as these things are usually done?
I think we've reached a point where we can safely call that busy work to keep your minds occupied. In Smith's case, it's clearly working, because all you have to do is ask him the least little thing about himself and he'll be off and running for at least a week. But most distressing of all, they're not allowed to talk to or even see the kids. John is going to go look around and see if he can get some answers.
This is John Robertson from the Earthship Jupiter 2, transmitting from the planet Delta. Come in, someone. Anyone.
You are transmitting on a prohibited frequency. Please disconnect immediately.
Prohibited or not, there's something I have to know.
Somebody needs to explain to these kids that an off switch is even more effective than blowing up the equipment. Probably less expensive, too. Will isn't doing well on the question, so he gives up and heads out.
What's the rush, man?
Who are you?
Edgar. I was in your honor guard, remember?
Oh, sure.
And now they've elected me to be your guide to the promised land, meaning Planet Gamma.
Will says, so you're kind of like my tutor? Edgar says, something like that.
Man, did you foul up on your first go-around? What kind of education have you been getting from them olders of yours, man? They're strictly decrepit.
You're talking about my family.
Get one thing straight, Frosh baby. On Planet Gamma, there's just one family, us.
He says, let's go see what we can do with you. Will asks about Penny, and Edgar says, don't worry, she's doing just fine. Penny's the one who gave in to the brainwashing because, as I said, she's just a girl. Her mind is all girly and mushy, not manly and strong like Will's. On this planet, the girls dance while the boys do stuff, just as nature intended. John tries to talk to her, but she's
gone, man. Solid gone.
Oh, here it comes, that sentimental gush about parents and their children, right? Well, that's for the birds. Olders are out now. We're in.
Bill Mummy said they were actually rocking out to a Doors song, then in post it was replaced with rock music written by people who have no idea what rock music is. Edgar has Will acting as his personal servant.
Still hung up on the square bit, eh, Frosh baby? Still playing the olders game?
I'm not playing anybody's game. I just can't be any different from what I am. And if that means I'm not smart enough to make your passing grade...
You're smart enough. All you have to do is just let go.
Let go of what?
Mama and Papa, Frosh baby. Just tune out those senior citizens and you'll be able to breeze through your adjustment course.
I don't know what Edgar's parents were like, but Will adores his parents and they adore him right back. In particular, his dad is his hero and with good reason. So that ain't gonna happen, Eddie baby.
Here, light up one of these memory cones when you get back in your cubicle. They smell like incense. Gives you instant memory and makes you learn fast.
Penny comes in and Will puts the cones in his pocket.
Man, what a tad! It's a gas!
Nothing as good as what you've got waiting for you on Planet Gamma.
Something else nobody could have foreseen. We stopped calling it a pad around 1975.
Did you make the passing grade? What else?
Now Will realizes the awful truth. This place has one song, Penny knows one set of moves, and he's stuck with all of it for the rest of his life.
It appears that this entire colony is meant for youngsters only. Now, they're conditioned to this by being taught that the oldsters, that's us, are superfluous.
Superfluous indeed.
Where do you think you're going?
To deliver these priceless recordings of my space odyssey. The moment those whippersnappers hear them, they'll realize that I, for one, am not superfluous.
If nothing else, it'll lull them all to sleep and you guys can escape.
Smith?
Oh, let him go. Let him go. Every room in this place is exactly alike. 6 walls, 6 doors.
I happen to admire symmetry. Stand aside, Major.
He means you're going to get lost, Doctor. In fact, I think he's hoping for it.
Well, now that he's gone, maybe we can get something done.
You know, this is all so bizarre. Superfluous oldsters. Us?
What if we are? What happens now? Where do we go from here?
As it turns out, he's about to get his answer.
4 olders now in suspended state under influence of memory washing fumes. Continued treatment until further notice.
They distilled it out of water from the River Lethe. And the boys must have sniffed a little of it themselves because they forgot how many olders arrived on this ship.
The female younger is prepared to cooperate with us. The male younger is still opposed and negative in his responses. We are continuing. This is Bartholomew from Central Control. Over and out.
He sure looks different without the uniform.
Oh, good heavens. I've been deceived. My space odyssey might have fallen into alien hands.
I'm sure that's the uppermost thing on their minds.
You cannot be Bartholomew.
You haven't forgotten me already, Smith, have you? I am Bartholomew. Don't you recognize me?
Well, you see,
Well, don't you?
He says, and if you want to keep existing, you'll continue to believe that this is Alpha Centauri and I'm a normal human, and you won't tell anyone any differently.
No, Smith. You dig?
Yes. Yes, of course, I dig.
No, Smith. Just let me imagine for a moment.
You're through with processing, Smith. You're one of us now. A cheerful, friendly all-American boy. You look almost as young as I do now, Smith. How does it feel?
Groovy, man. Out of sight. Where is the action?
By the way, we stopped saying groovy by 1970, and Out of Sight was gone by about 3 years later. In 1968, when this aired, both were already on their way out. One quick trip to San Francisco for 2 hours of research might have saved some people a bit of embarrassment. But how's a reviewer supposed to have fun with it if they do it right? Their dumb mistakes are kind of my bread and butter. His job as a younger, yeah, sure he is to persuade Will to stop resisting.
Had enough of this, Penny. We're getting out of here and I mean now. Get lost, Square. Penny, this is all wrong. It's crazy. Smith, what happened to you? How did you get here?
It's like freaky, man. Real freaky. We're gonna freak out together.
He's definitely freaking me out, but it didn't mean what he thinks it did. The expression came from a strange characteristic of LSD. When you dropped a tablet or capsule of acid, the effect followed a sort of bell curve like this. The drug's influence would build up like this until it reached a peak, then it would start to taper off until you finally came down. But on rare occasions, probably something to do with a particular person's genetics or the drug's chemistry or all of the above, someone would get to that peak point and stay there, pretty much never come down. That was a freak out, and it usually landed you in a mental hospital. Through the 70s, when LSD waned in popularity, the expression started taking on different meanings. I gave an example of what it means today because Smith in that wig is freaking me out bigly. In this context, it means looking at him in that getup is about as pleasant as chewing aluminum foil.
I can't stand it. I'm getting out of here.
Good, Frosh.
Come on.
Oh, dear. Come back. Come back. I don't want to lose my youth.
You never had a youth. You were born 50 years old, selfish and grumpy.
Dad, Mom. Look, I'm not staying in there another minute. Neither is Penny. Now I know I had a hard time getting her to...
Just a minute. You call me Dad. Is that another one of those expressions that you so freely use down here?
Don't you start, too. I've always called you Dad.
Well, it would be all right for you to call me Dad if you were my son.
John says, we have one child, Judy. I don't know who you two are. Will can't shake him loose from it. They're getting ready to blast off without Will and Penny.
Here. You'll need these more than I will.
What are they?
Light them up and find out. By that time, it'll be too late.
Penny has snapped out of it and is crying uncontrollably.
Oh, no. No. Please don't leave them here with these...
Try that again and there'll be no Smith.
Try what? He was standing there quietly talking to himself. It's a thing he does because of a genetic condition that keeps his mouth moving all the time. It's obvious he failed, so Bartholomew will take a more direct hand in the whole thing. We'll have to wait to find out what that means.
Professor Robinson, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
Now that we are again in flight, I realize that my earlier calculations were erroneous. The planet we have just left was not in the planetary system of Alpha Centauri.
Well, I checked your calculations.
You were misled, just as I was, by the magnetic impulses directed toward us by the planet Delta.
Which means this whole thing was done deliberately. He wasn't able to analyze things properly until they got away from whatever field was generating those false signals. He also reports that the people down there aren't human, they're aliens. And we left Will, Penny, and Dr. Smith down there with them.
Your memories of Will and Penny, not to mention Dr. Smith, were blanked out by an alien smokescreen.
What are we gonna do with him? He slipped his tapes.
Professor Robinson, I detect the presence of a number of chemical cones. I believe you were told, and I quote, light 'em up and find out.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Wait, these aren't those kind of light-up things. The cone puts out a thick red smoke and everybody gets a whiff.
Done. Full power. We're going back.
Jupiter 2, this is Bartholomew. Your flight is being monitored. If you value your lives, you will abort your attempt to return to planet Delta. Now.
We want Will and Penny back, Bartholomew. We're coming back to get them.
All right. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Will and Penny still aren't cooperating, so Bartholomew shows them the Jupiter 2 caught in some kind of field and out of control. He says, all we want is your cooperation. Will says, fine, you've got it. But why? What do you want from us?
We're youngers. Yeah, that's all we are. We don't grow up, see? We don't grow up ever. And that's what we want. We want to grow up. We want to grow up. And the only way we can do it is through you and you. It's the only way.
Why does it never occur to these people to ask? Why is it that every race out there thinks they can force themselves onto someone else to get what they want? Just once, it would be nice if they encountered a race that's in trouble, all right, but they're nice about it and beg for the Robinsons' help. You can create just as big a calamity and just as much drama that way as you can by making everyone out there a raging jerk. I mentioned in a previous episode that it appears we've given up. When the show was canceled over the summer of 1968, none of the cast saw it coming. But based on the nosedive in quality that the scripts took along about the 10th or 12th episode, I'm convinced that somebody knew. I'll have more to say about that as we go along through the rest of the series.
How do we get them out of trouble?
Tell them you don't need them. They can reverse course. You're on their frequency.
They both deliver their lines with efficiency, punctuated with an appropriate number of feel the vibes, split the scene, and other teen-type talk like dig, groovy, acne.
All right. We'll reverse course. Out.
Oh, John, you can't.
If you mean reverse course, I don't intend to. I don't think the children meant what they said. Neither did I. We may still be on their monitors. Reverse course.
I would hope Will and Penny know that's how he's thinking.
You can have the rest of the day to yourselves, kids. Transfusions can wait till tomorrow.
Transfusions?
How else do you think we can groove without that aging chemistry you've got?
And by the way, if it happens to take all the blood you have to transfuse all of us, well, them's the breaks.
Dad didn't even argue with us. He agreed to change course right away.
But he knew who we were. So those memory cones I gave him must have worked. You know what I think, Penny? I think he just agreed to change course.
I sure hope you're right.
Now, if he comes back, we're gonna have to make sure that they're not monitoring the Jupiter's approach.
But how?
I've got a plan. Come on.
The best part of this plan is they sit back and watch while some pigeon does the dirty work and potentially gets caught and punished. They need a suitable pigeon. Who fits the bill? Oh, I wonder, wonder who-de-doo.
Hey, man, how'd you like to pull off a little heist?
Groovy. I'd like it fine. What's in it for me?
Pigeon at 3 o'clock.
We split 3 ways.
No dice. 75% for me. You two split the rest.
You're a hard man.
You're a hard man.
You're a hard pigeon. I mean man. Will says that room in there has a relay station with all kinds of rare and valuable equipment. Fetch a fortune on the black market. And it's unattended. All you got to do is walk in and take it. Maximum profit, minimal effort. That's Dr. Smith's mantra.
Are you sure this ain't no frame?
We're with you all the way, Smitty.
Watch it, punk. Don't call me Smitty till we pull off this heist, see? Until then, we're just business partners. Dig?
I dig. We dig.
Is this a recording? This is a recording. This is a recording.
You are transmitting on a prohibited frequency. Please disconnect.
Yeah, I'll disconnect.
Well, it didn't say what to disconnect. Bartholomew and Edgar come in and bust him. They get the monitor working just in time to see the Jupiter 2 returning.
Danger, danger! Destruct missiles approaching fast! Evade, evade!
As we've seen, that particular type of missile is sold all over multiple galaxies, and we have not seen one hit anything it was aiming at yet. I have a feeling people are overpaying.
I thought you were really with it until you got Methuselah to mess with our relay station. Now we'll have to hurry. It won't be too easy on you squares. Get them ready.
Too late, the Jupiter has landed.
Where are they?
Who are you talking about, man?
You know who he's talking about.
You're gonna take us right to them. Come on.
Hey, watch that hurt!
Get going.
I like how they're ignoring Smith. Maybe they don't recognize him in the wig.
Drop it.
Dad!
Will and Penny are my children. Release them, and we'll leave.
You olders really think you've got it made, don't you?
No, we don't have it made, Bartholomew. Not any more than you do. That's something you'll understand when you're a little older.
They can't get any older, Dad. That's why they need us.
All I want to do is be able to shave, see?
But that's not your real form. Does your race shave? And again, why didn't you just ask? They might have been willing to work something out and help you if you had just tried being nice instead of trying to enslave them. But the way things have shaken out, they really don't care about your problem. You haven't given them any reason why they should. And the next time you decide to use mind control, take steps to make sure it doesn't also work on you. Everyone exits, including Smith, now carrying the wig instead of wearing it. Why, I don't know, unless he intends to keep it for a pet. Anyway, they're all on the ship and on their way while the aliens continue to groove to the beat, man.
Are you making fun of me?
No, they are.
Oh, okay then.
I'll see you next time you find yourself lost in Irvingland.
If you enjoyed this episode, click the like button and let us know. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you always know what is happening, because something is always happening here at Irving Zoo. We make sure of it. We control his computer. Until next time.